3 decades. That is how long this secret has been festering beneath the surface of one of America's most famous plural families. 3 decades of forced smiles, of carefully edited confessionals, of playing nice for the cameras while resentment curdled into something toxic and irreversible. And now, Meri Brown has finally ripped the lid off the truth that Sister Wives producers desperately tried to bury. What she is revealing about Janelle is not just shocking, it is a complete rewriting of everything fans thought they understood about this family. The betrayal did not start when the cameras started rolling. It started before Janelle ever became a sister wife. And it began with Meri's own brother. Let us be absolutely clear about what we are dealing with here. Janelle Brown, the wife who spent decades positioning herself as the calm, logical, reasonable one in the family, was once married to Meri's brother Adam. That is right, folks. Before she was a Brown, she was a Barber. She was Meri's sister-in-law, and according to Meri's explosive recent revelations, that marriage did not just end. It detonated, leaving shrapnel wounds that have never fully healed. One insider who has followed this family since the beginning put it bluntly, this is the origin story that explains everything. Every cold look, every snide comment, every moment of tension between these two women traces back to this original sin. What makes this even more devastating is how TLC carefully danced around this history for years. Oh sure, longtime viewers knew there was some kind of connection. The show mentioned it in passing, treated it like a quirky footnote rather than the emotional nuclear bomb it actually was. But social media has changed everything. Fans are digging through old interviews, old episodes, old everything, and what they are finding is painting a picture that makes the network's sanitized version look almost laughable. One Reddit detective summed it up perfectly. They gaslit us for 13 seasons. We watched these women interact thinking we understood the dynamic, we understood nothing. Meri's recent interview moments have taken on an entirely new meaning now that fans know the full context. When she spoke about unresolved pain and wounds that never healed, most viewers assumed she was talking about the catfishing scandal or Cody's treatment of her. But those close to the situation say she was actually referencing something far older and far more personal. This is not about Cody, one source familiar with Meri's perspective explained. This is about a betrayal so fundamental that it poisoned everything that came after, and the reactions across every platform are absolutely explosive. Longtime fans are demanding answers. They want the unedited truth. They want to know exactly what happened between Janelle and Adam, and exactly how Janelle ended up pursuing Cody immediately afterward. But what Meri revealed next made longtime fans completely rethink everything they thought they knew about the Brown family origin story. The timeline here is absolutely damning when you lay it out clearly. Janelle divorced Meri's brother Adam, and seemingly moments later, she was positioning herself as Cody's next wife. We are not talking about years of respectful distance. We are not talking about someone who moved on gradually and happened to reconnect with an old acquaintance. According to multiple accounts, the transition was shockingly fast, almost as if it had been planned before the divorce papers were even filed. One family-adjacent source described it as whiplash. One minute she was part of the Barber family, the next minute she was angling to become a Brown, and Meri was just supposed to accept her former sister-in-law as her new sister wife. Let us pause for a moment and truly absorb what Meri was expected to do here. She was supposed to welcome into her marriage, into her home, into the most intimate aspects of her life, a woman who had just divorced her own brother, a woman who would now be sharing her husband, a woman she would have to treat as an equal partner in her family for the rest of her life. The emotional gymnastics required for that are almost incomprehensible. Yet that is exactly what the principles of plural marriage demanded of her. Smile, accept, submit, welcome your brother's ex-wife into your bed rotation with open arms. Meri's emotional account of this period is absolutely gut-wrenching when you actually listen to what she has been saying. She felt blindsided, she felt ambushed, she felt like her own family had been weaponized against her in service of building Cody's plural empire. And here is the part that makes it even worse. Her family, the Barbers, were reportedly torn apart by this situation. Some sided with Meri, horrified by what they saw as Janelle's calculated maneuvering. Others sided with Janelle, either because they believed her version of events or because they simply wanted to keep the peace. Either way, Meri lost pieces of her own family in the process of gaining a sister wife she never wanted. Now, fans are going back through early interviews with fresh eyes, and the revelations are stunning. Comments that seemed innocuous at the time now read as loaded with subtext. Moments that appeared to show sisterly tension now reveal themselves as barely contained hostility. One clip from the early season shows Janelle making a comment about understanding family dynamics in ways the others could not. At the time, viewers assumed she meant her familiarity with the Brown family. Now they realize she was subtly referencing her Barber family insider knowledge. She knew Meri's family, she knew their secrets, she knew their vulnerabilities. And according to those who have studied this dynamic closely, she allegedly used that knowledge to her advantage. But Janelle's response to these accusations has been absolutely stunning silence that speaks louder than any denial ever could. In an era where every celebrity, every reality star, every person with any kind of public profile uses social media to craft their narrative, Janelle Brown's silence on this specific topic is deafening. She will talk about Cody, she will post about her RV adventures, she will share updates about her children, her business ventures, her journey toward independence. But ask her about her marriage to Adam Barber, ask her about the timeline of her interest in Cody, ask her about Meri's accusations of betrayal. Absolute crickets, not a single word, not a single clarification, not even a vague denial that could give her supporters something to work with. Let us be brutally honest about what that silence means. In the court of public opinion, refusing to address serious allegations is almost always interpreted as an admission of guilt. Innocent people defend themselves. Innocent people provide their side of the story. Innocent people do not let damaging accusations hang in the air unchallenged while they post cheerful photos of their morning coffee. One public relations expert who analyzed the situation put it perfectly: her silence is a strategy, but it is a losing one. Every day she does not respond, Meri's version becomes the accepted narrative, and that narrative is absolutely devastating. The contrast with her usual social media presence makes this even more suspicious. Janelle has never been shy about sharing her opinions. She will weigh in on parenting debates. She will discuss her feelings about the divorce. She will even occasionally take subtle shots at Cody when the mood strikes her. But this topic, this one specific area of her history, remains completely off limits. It is like watching someone navigate a minefield, carefully stepping around the one spot that could blow everything up. Fans have noticed this pattern, and they are not letting it slide. Her comment sections are filled with people demanding answers, demanding accountability, demanding she address what Meri has been saying. Body language experts have had a field day analyzing past reunion footage, particularly moments when hosts or other family members almost broached this subject. One expert noted that Janelle's entire demeanor changes when the topic gets anywhere close to her pre-Brown history. Her posture stiffens, her smile becomes fixed, her eyes dart toward production staff as if seeking rescue. These are not the behaviors of someone with nothing to hide. These are the tells of someone desperately hoping the conversation moves in any other direction. Whether her silence stems from guilt, legal concerns, or something else entirely remains unclear. What is clear is that her refusal to speak is doing more damage than any statement ever could. Then insiders started revealing what was happening behind closed doors during those early filming years, and the picture that emerged was far uglier than anyone imagined. Sources who worked on Sister Wives during its early seasons are finally sharing what they witnessed, and their accounts paint a picture of barely concealed warfare. The arguments between Meri and Janelle were apparently legendary among the production crew. Not the mild disagreements we occasionally saw on camera, but genuine heated confrontations that had to be carefully edited out to maintain the family's wholesome image. One crew member who worked multiple seasons described it as walking into a freezer every time those two were in the same room. The temperature just dropped. You could feel the hatred. Production reportedly had to implement specific protocols to manage the Meri and Janelle dynamic. They would schedule their talking head interviews on different days. They would strategically position other family members between them during group scenes. They would have producers on standby to intervene if things got too heated. Let that sink in for a moment. A show about a loving plural family had to develop conflict management strategies just to get two of its stars in the same room together. This was not sisterly bickering. This was entrenched, deeply personal animosity that required professional management. And here is where the story gets even more complicated. Christine, the wife who always seemed like the cheerful peacemaker, was apparently running herself ragged trying to keep the family from imploding. Sources say she spent decades mediating between Meri and Janelle, smoothing over conflicts, redirecting conversations, desperately trying to maintain the illusion of family harmony, all while hiding her own growing resentments. She was the emotional glue, one insider explained. Without her constantly patching things over, the whole thing would have collapsed years earlier, and she got absolutely no credit for it. Christine was performing invisible labor that kept the family and the show functional. Crew members who were willing to speak described the cold tension between Meri and Janelle as exhausting to be around. It was not just during filming, it was during breaks, it was during meals, it was during every single moment when cameras might or might not be rolling. These women did not like each other, and everyone on set knew it. The professional veneer they maintained for the cameras was exactly that, a veneer, thin and brittle and ready to crack at any moment. One longtime crew member admitted they were always waiting for the blow-up that would end the show. The fact that it never happened on camera was not evidence that everything was fine. It was evidence of just how carefully everyone tiptoed around the explosive reality underneath. But the betrayal Meri experienced did not stop at Janelle simply entering the family. What allegedly happened over the following decades was a systematic campaign of undermining that slowly poisoned every aspect of Meri's life. According to Meri's accounts, Janelle did not just join the family and settle into her role as second wife. She allegedly spent years, decades even, consistently and deliberately undermining Meri's relationship with Cody. The pattern Meri describes as textbook manipulation: small comments that plant seeds of doubt, strategic alliances that isolate the target, a slow, steady campaign to position herself as the reasonable one while painting Meri as the problem. If this sounds like workplace bullying dynamics, that is because the psychology is exactly the same, and Meri was trapped in this workplace with no option to resign. Fans are now going back through episodes with completely new eyes, and what they are finding is honestly chilling. Moments that seemed like harmless observations now read as calculated attacks. There is one scene, often cited by those who have done deep dives, where Janelle makes a comment about Meri being difficult during a family discussion. At the time, viewers took it at face value. Now they see it as part of a larger pattern. Every time Meri expressed a need, Janelle was there to frame it as demanding. Every time Meri showed emotion, Janelle was there to label it as dramatic. The cumulative effect was devastating. The alleged alliance between Janelle and Christine against Meri is one of the most heartbreaking aspects of this entire saga. For years, Meri thought she had sister wives who were her partners, her confidantes, her family. According to her recent revelations, the reality was far darker. She claims Janelle would strategically align with Christine to outvote Meri on family decisions. They would have conversations about her when she was not present. They would present a united front that made Meri feel like an outsider in her own family. 3 wives, and Meri was always somehow on the outside looking in. What makes this even more insidious is how Janelle positioned herself throughout all of this. She cultivated an image as the logical wife, the practical one, the one who did not let emotions cloud her judgment. And by extension, she positioned Meri as the opposite: emotional, irrational, the problem. One relationship expert who analyzed the family dynamics put it perfectly. Janelle weaponized the stereotypes about women being too emotional. She used them against Meri to gain favor with Cody, who clearly valued logic over feelings. It was brilliant strategy, and absolutely devastating execution. Meri never had a chance. Then Cody's role in enabling all of this started becoming horrifyingly clear, revealing a man who did not just fail to protect his first wife, but actively used her pain as a tool of control. Let us talk about the man at the center of all of this dysfunction. Cody Brown has spent years painting himself as a patriarch, trying his best to manage a complicated family situation. But the picture emerging from Meri's revelations suggests something far more sinister. According to those close to Meri, Cody did not just allow the tension between his first and second wives to fester. He actively cultivated it, he used it, he weaponized it as a means of controlling both women. And that manipulation allegedly started from the very beginning. Meri has strongly implied that Cody knew exactly what he was doing when he pursued Janelle. He knew she was his first wife's former sister-in-law. He knew the divorce from Adam had caused family turmoil. He knew bringing Janelle into the family would create an impossible dynamic for Meri. And according to Meri, he did it anyway. Not despite the complications, but perhaps because of them. A divided family is easier to control. Wives who are busy fighting each other are not fighting you. One marriage counselor who has studied polygamous family dynamics explained it this way: the patriarch benefits when the wives are in conflict. It keeps them focused on each other instead of on his failures. The way Cody would pit the wives against each other became almost an art form over the years, and this original betrayal was allegedly his favorite weapon. Sources say he would bring up Meri's family history with Janelle whenever he wanted to destabilize the household. He would make comments about loyalty. He would reference past hurts. He would do just enough to keep those old wounds from healing while maintaining plausible deniability. "I never said anything wrong," he could claim. "You are just being sensitive." And Meri was left spinning, wondering if she was the problem after all. Fan theories about why Cody seemed to emotionally abandon Meri years before the catfishing scandal have taken on new significance in light of these revelations. Many viewers assumed the catfishing incident in 2013 or 2014 was the catalyst for their estrangement. But those who have been paying close attention point out that Cody had already checked out of his relationship with Meri long before that. Some theorize he was punishing her for never fully accepting Janelle. Others suggest he had simply transferred his emotional investment to whichever wife caused him the least trouble. Either way, Meri was frozen out, and the catfishing scandal simply gave Cody a convenient excuse for something he had been doing for years. But what is happening between these women right now, in real time, is creating chaos that threatens to blow up whatever remains of the Brown family structure. The current state of affairs between Meri and Janelle can be summed up in one word: estrangement. According to multiple sources, these two women are not speaking at all. Not texts, not calls, not carefully worded emails, nothing. The pretense of sisterly connection that they maintained for the cameras has been completely abandoned now that the show is effectively over. One person close to the situation described it as a relief for both of them. They do not have to pretend anymore, and neither of them wants anything to do with the other. What makes this even more complicated is Christine's position in all of this. She has managed to maintain relationships with both Meri and Janelle individually since leaving Cody, but sources say she is increasingly being forced to choose sides. The new revelations about Janelle's betrayal have put Christine in an impossible position. If she supports Meri, she risks alienating Janelle, who she has grown closer to in recent years. If she supports Janelle, she validates behavior that she herself may have participated in. One insider speculated that Christine is trying desperately to stay neutral, but the ground is shifting beneath her feet. She cannot straddle this fence forever. The social media evidence is absolutely damning for anyone willing to look. The unfollows happened quietly, but fans noticed immediately. Meri and Janelle no longer follow each other on any platform. Their tagged photos together have largely disappeared. When one posts about family, the other is conspicuously absent. And then there are the pointed posts that fans have been analyzing like forensic evidence. Meri recently shared a quote about recognizing who your real friends are. Another post referenced betrayal by those closest to you. She did not name names, she did not have to. Her followers knew exactly who she was talking about. Meri's cryptic social media presence has become a fascinating study in subtext. She has mastered the art of saying everything while saying nothing directly. A sunset photo with a caption about storms passing, a quote about karma, a reference to truth eventually coming to light. Her comment sections are filled with supporters decoding every post, finding meaning in every word choice. Team Meri is convinced she is building towards something bigger, a more complete telling of her story that will leave no doubt about what happened. Whether that is true or wishful thinking remains to be seen, but the anticipation is palpable. Then fans started doing something that made the situation exponentially worse, turning what could have been a private family matter into an all-out public war. The Sister Wives fandom has always been passionate, but what is happening now has crossed into something else entirely. Team Meri versus Team Janelle has become a legitimate schism in the fan community, and the fighting is getting ugly. Online spaces that used to discuss the show in general terms are now battlegrounds where supporters of each woman attack each other with the fervor of political partisans. Friendships have ended over this, longtime fan groups have splintered. The drama that tore apart the Brown family is now tearing apart the people who watched it. Janelle's business pages have become ground zero for fan accountability campaigns. Her comments are flooded with people demanding she address Meri's allegations. Every post about her products, her RV life, her wellness journey is immediately hijacked by questions about Adam Barber, questions about the timeline, questions about whether she has any remorse for what she allegedly did. Some fans have taken it further, leaving negative reviews, contacting sponsors, doing everything in their power to force a response that Janelle seems determined not to give. Whether this constitutes legitimate accountability or targeted harassment depends entirely on who you ask. Popular YouTubers and social media commentators have jumped into the fray, and their analysis is not kind to Janelle. One particularly viral video broke down the timeline of Janelle's divorce and subsequent relationship with Cody, concluding that the overlap was too close to be coincidental. Another commentator called Janelle's ongoing silence damning and suggested it was evidence of guilt. These videos get hundreds of thousands of views. They shape public perception, and they create a narrative that Janelle has no apparent interest in countering. Her silence is being filled by other people's interpretations, and those interpretations are devastating. The business implications for both women are significant and growing. Meri has her bed and breakfast and various ventures that rely on public goodwill. Janelle has her clothing partnerships, her wellness brand, her social media monetization. Both depend on fan support, and that support is now conditional on picking the right side in this conflict. Some fans have declared they will never spend another dollar on anything Janelle touches. Others have rallied around her, deliberately supporting her businesses as a statement against what they see as a witch hunt. The Brown family drama has become an economy unto itself. But what happens next could fundamentally alter everything we thought we knew about Sister Wives and the people who lived it. The speculation about where this is all heading has reached fever pitch. Some industry insiders believe Meri is building toward a tell-all book that will lay out every detail of her 30-plus years in the Brown family. Others think a documentary project might be in the works, something that would give Meri the platform to share her complete, unedited story without TLC's interference. The appetite for this content is enormous. Publishers and producers know a Meri Brown tell-all would be a guaranteed bestseller. The only question is whether she is ready to burn every remaining bridge to tell it. The possibility of legal action has also been floated by those following this situation closely: defamation claims, contract disputes, allegations that could potentially cross into actionable territory. Nobody is saying this is definitely happening, but the fact that Janelle has been so careful to say absolutely nothing publicly suggests she may have been advised to stay silent for legal reasons. One entertainment lawyer who analyzed the situation noted that when a public figure suddenly goes quiet about specific allegations, it often means attorneys are involved. Whether that means Janelle is preparing to sue or preparing to be sued remains unclear. The question of reconciliation hangs over all of this like a dark cloud. After 30 years of buried resentment, after decades of alleged manipulation and undermining, after everything that has been said and implied and revealed, is there any path forward that involves these women in the same room again? Those who know them say the wounds are too deep. The trust was never there to begin with. One family friend put it bluntly: you cannot reconcile what was never genuine in the first place. Their relationship was always a performance. Now the show is over and nobody has to perform anymore. Meri has hinted that she has more to share. Much more. If Janelle continues her strategy of silence, sources suggest Meri may feel increasingly free to reveal additional details. The leverage that Janelle's non-response was supposed to provide, the idea that ignoring allegations makes them go away, appears to be backfiring spectacularly. Every day that passes without a response is another day Meri's narrative solidifies as the accepted truth. And Meri, according to those who know her, has 30 years of stories she has never told. 30 years of documentation, 30 years of receipt. What we are witnessing is the final unraveling of a family that was never really a family at all. It was an arrangement, a performance, a television product that required everyone to play their assigned roles. Meri was cast as the difficult one, and she spent decades accepting that characterization. Now she is rewriting the script. Now she is telling her version. Now she is making clear that the woman America thought they knew from Sister Wives was a character created to serve other people's interests. The real Meri, the one who was betrayed before the marriage even started, the one who spent 30 years swallowing her pain for the sake of family harmony, that woman is finally speaking, and she is not finished yet. The Brown family saga has always been about the complicated dynamics of plural marriage, the jealousy, the competition, the impossible task of sharing a husband and calling it love, but Meri's revelations have added a new dimension. This was never just about plural marriage. This was about a specific betrayal, a specific woman, a specific wound that was inflicted before any of the rest of it even began. Janelle entered that family over the objections of Meri's heart, carrying the wreckage of a marriage to Meri's own brother. And for 30 years, Meri was expected to smile about it. She is not smiling anymore.